Ms. Alina, our esteemed coordinator for today's event, I would like to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all participants of our conference. And I ask you, Ms. Alina, to help me with the presentation. I want to say right away that continuous professional development, CPD, has already been mentioned today. Viktor Hrihorovich Serdyuk, in his introductory remarks, he is the head of the Patients' Rights Protection Union, took a moment to address the audience. Has already spoken in detail about the important role of this CPD for pharmacy and for medicine. But I would like to clarify about the association that Mr. Alexander mentioned does not yet have a license for continuous professional development of healthcare workers and specialists. And therefore, our event, which is licensed by our university, provider number, event number, in other words, this is a license, is operating within a legal and legitimate framework. The certificates you will receive will be transparently accessible on the website of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. And this is very important for your certification. All other events that are not licensed by the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, you can attend them for free or for a fee and receive certificates there. But they will not be transparently displayed on the Ministry of Health website and will simply serve for your general development, not for professional purposes. Right away on this slide, I want to emphasize that our terminology has changed somewhat. You see the terms employees and specialists. Employees and specialists, healthcare workers. This refers to everyone in general. Those who work in the healthcare sector are divided into professionals and specialists. Professionals are all individuals with a higher medical or pharmaceutical education. Specialists are dedicated professionals in the healthcare sector with a different type of education. These are lawyers, biologists, microbiologists, technicians. In other words, anyone with an education other than medical or pharmaceutical. So in my introduction, healthcare, medical technologies, and pharmaceuticals play an important role, primarily in the social protection of citizens, and they also contribute to the financial and economic system of the state. In what way? This means new jobs, providing the population with high quality, effective, safe, and accessible medicines from all clinical, pharmacological, classification, legal, and nomenclature legal groups. Given Ukraine's integration processes with the EU, our legislative regulations are changing in the system of legal relations between doctor, patient, and pharmacist. We are developing medical technologies for the circulation of medicines, implementing modern methods of management, marketing, and communication, as well as improving the safety system. Continuous professional development of professionals and specialists. Artificial intelligence technologies are being introduced into the pharmacy business and the work of healthcare institutions. Employers have their own requirements. We conducted such a statistical analysis and obtained the following results. 40% of employers expect the situation with finding personnel to worsen. 29% of employers are betting on employees age 45 and older, who are less likely to look for a new job or a new position. 80% of employers want to retrain employees to work with artificial intelligence in telepharmacy and telemedicine. Artificial intelligence, telepharmacy, and telemedicine are the digital medical technologies of our present day. 41% of employers plan to focus on young people who are not of conscription age. 35% of employers are establishing cooperation with higher education institutions to search for personnel. 30% of employers are deciding to involve citizens of retirement age in the healthcare sector. And 5 to 7% of employers offer employment with attractive options such as social benefits packages, housing, and training. These are the kinds of requirements employers have. We wish that both inside and outside the country, the situation affects the pharmaceutical business and pharmaceutical management. And what are the demands of healthcare workers, that is, professionals and specialists? 57% of employees demand a stable work schedule. Every second person wants stability. 36% want stability in the organization of work. 31% want to work in a stable team. 28% of people want to have a stable and reliable salary. 25% would prefer that there are no fixed salary offers, which means the salary can change or fluctuate, and this actually happens in as many as 80% of all cases. As for geographic proximity, that is being closer to where they live, 47% prefer this. 44% find a flexible work schedule very convenient for them. 40% want official employment, not a situation where today you work and tomorrow there's no money and you're out of a job. And 32% want the possibility of remote work. So here, digital medical technologies such as telemedicine and telepharmacy, which it is important to mention is also a relatively new and promising direction for Ukraine, will be extremely relevant and significant. Next slide, please. Statistical data. The shortage of healthcare personnel is felt most acutely in Dnipro, Zaporizhia, and Kharkiv. In Kyiv and the Kyiv region, the largest number of healthcare workers are employed, although about 50% of pharmaceutical companies are constantly searching for employees. In other words, there is a staffing problem. What changes to the licensing conditions do we have as of today? Resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine dated July 14th, 2025, number 895. Staffing requirements for pharmacies in rural areas and frontline territories have been simplified. Secondly, the position of head or deputy head in such an institution can be held by specialists with an education level of at least a junior bachelor in pharmacy with no work experience required. Next, the appointment of specialists is permitted. Finally, in the territory of Ukraine, as before, to work in such positions, it is necessary to have a master's degree in pharmacy and at least 2 years of work experience, or a junior bachelor's degree for those managing pharmacy outlets. Well, if there was a decrease in hostilities and only minor damage and nothing was lost, then nothing is considered lost. If the safety of medicine storage is not compromised, pharmacies will be able to continue their operations for 3 months without the risk of losing their license and without the need to carry out repair work. That is, repair work continues and the pharmacy's operations also continue. Educational program. To address competency, there is an educational program for training and professional development. For example, we have an active specialty in organization and management of pharmacy. It relates to the professional competencies of specialists in the field of pharmaceutical institution management. Managers, organizers. Next slide, please. Each educational program, including this organizational one, consists of 5 mandatory components. These are organization of management and pharmaceutical economics, clinical pharmacy, quality standardization, drug certification, and pharmaceutical technology. Mandatory pharmacy in emergency situations is also included, as well as additional educational modules in the curriculum, among which are specialized training in medical and pharmaceutical law of Ukraine. Next slide. The training program for professional development. Professionals and specialists in the healthcare sector are constantly improving and adapting to modern challenges, especially by incorporating international standards and best practices in pharmaceutical management. Well, obviously, this provides opportunities for professional growth and skill improvement, all of which are necessary for effective management in the market of medical and pharmaceutical services. Next slide. Now let's move on to the current order of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, number 650, dated April 16th, 2025. It is titled, On the Approval of the Procedure for the Certification of Employees in the Field of Healthcare and Amendments to Certain Orders of the Ministry of Health. I would like to draw your attention to the terminology. Employees, meaning professionals and specialists in the field of healthcare. There are no more specialists as such. What is the purpose of this order? To establish a unified approach to conducting certification for compliance with the position held for all employees in the healthcare sector. It is clear that the scope of application extends to the healthcare sector regardless of the form of ownership. The main principles of certification as they want to, according to the drafters of this order, are objectivity, transparency, professional competencies, and CPD, continuous professional development. The certification period, as we already know, is 5 years, and certification is conducted once every 5 years for all categories of employees. CPD requires mandatory professional development over the course of 5 years by participating in activities recognized by the certification commissions. I want to strongly emphasize here, activities that are recognized by the certification commissions are those conducted by providers who have a license to hold such events. Next slide. Healthcare workers, except for employees of state specialized institutions conducting forensic medical examinations, regardless of their specialty, are required at least once during the certification period, which is 5 years, to participate in CPD activities in accordance with this procedure. In each of these areas, these are the 6 mandatory areas that I want to emphasize to you now. The first area is ethical issues, that is, issues of gender equality and prevention of discrimination, stigmatization, confidentiality, vulnerability, the impact of war, empathy, and bioethics. And the first mandatory area is ethical issues. Second, counseling and professional communication skills. This includes barrier-free communication, adherence to medical care standards, clinical protocols, rehabilitation care protocols, and lists of material and technical equipment. In other words, professional communication skills. The third mandatory area is the procedure for conducting and documenting the results of medical examinations, documentation of bodily injuries sustained by victims of domestic or other types of violence, cruel and inhuman treatment, punishment, torture, human trafficking, persons released from captivity, or those affected by military aggression. This includes communication with victims, organizing measures to prevent domestic violence and violence against women, early detection of signs of such violence, referral skills, and the competencies of entities involved in implementing measures in the field of prevention and response to domestic violence and gender-based violence. This is the third major responsibility. The fourth is digital competence. The fifth is urgent emergency medical care. And the sixth is infection control. Let me emphasize once again, every employee must complete these 6 measures within 5 years and obtain a CPD certificate, which will not just indicate, for example, advanced training or conference, but will specifically list the topics: ethical issues, professional communication, documentation of medical examination results, digital competence, emergency medical care, and infection control. I want to say right away that after this conference, we already have announcements on the university website, and we will be conducting training sessions, 2-day master classes. The usual practice is training sessions. And at these trainings, for each of these 6 modules, we will be issuing certificates since we have the appropriate license. Thank you, everyone. Please go to the next slide. Healthcare workers, regardless of their specialty, please note, regardless of specialty. So all medical professionals, dentists, educators, everyone working in the healthcare sector, including those in state specialized institutions, as well as forensic medical experts who conduct examinations. They undergo these activities only once per certification period, according to this procedure. They have slightly fewer requirements: clinical, counseling, digital, and emergency. So they were given 4 areas. Next slide. So how are the topics distributed by year? It is recommended to complete at least 2 to 6 topics each year. That is 2 topics, and there are 6 in total, 6 topics over 3 years, 6 topics over 3 years. And then the plan for these 6 mandatory activities is fulfilled. Next. The types of activities as mentioned today include seminars, master classes, trainings, theoretical and practical conferences, and advanced training courses. Regarding the last type, advanced training courses, these are usually taken at higher education institutions for postgraduate training. And such courses are thematic, lasting from 1 to 2 weeks, but no more than 2 of these activities can be taken within the period. You can take them within 5 years. In other words, the order has distributed these activities for healthcare workers in such a way that they need to alternate them, ensuring variety so that they earn the points required for certification. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Well, the appendix. Point 1, please pay attention and make a note of this order. Point 4 of the first section. Here, the nomenclature of specialty profiles and corresponding professional qualifications is provided. I won't spend much time on this. You've got the reference. Appendix 1 of Order 650.4, Section 1. And when possible, please refer to it and read specifically what you need. Next. Appendix 2 of the same order, paragraph 2.7, section 1. What kind of certificate for awarding professional qualification? There's a certificate template there. Next. Appendix 3.1, subpoint 1 of point 1, section 3. This is the attestation sheet itself, which is issued to you during the attestation. It also has a specific template, not just made up, but a standard one, and so on. Appendix 4, subpoint 2 of point 1, section 3. Here, the personal educational portfolio is important. There is a sample, and according to this sample, each healthcare worker prepares their own educational portfolio with the results of their CPD for each year, and so on. Appendix 5, paragraph 8.4, section 4. Table of correspondence of specialties for which certification and work experience by specialty are conducted, which has been excluded from the list of specialties. For those to whom this is relevant, please pay attention. I will not dwell on this. Next. Appendix 6.5, section 4. Criteria for awarding CPD points. What are the criteria? Not just any, but specific criteria. Next. Well, here we have fragments of this appendix further on formal education. How many points? The column for visibility, the average, the third is the number of points, and a mandatory supporting document, the fourth column. Well, here it's a diploma of a scientific degree, a certificate, and so on. This is for those who are studying, that's non-formal education. For us, a conference is from this section, non-formal education. Specialization for 1 month is 30 points, but not more than the minimum required number of points. The minimum for professionals is 50 points per year. For specialists, it's 30 points. And the supporting document is a certificate. Here is the second point, advanced training in TU cycles in a blended full-time and distance learning format. If it's 1 week, it's 20 points. If it's 3 weeks, it's 30. Please note, previously such cycles issued certificates of completion, but this order has completely changed the terminology. And also after specialists complete specialization or advanced training, they must receive a certificate. Certificates of completion are no longer issued. The third point is professional internships outside the institution. Those for whom this is relevant, take a look. Internships in a medical institution. Next. That is, each of you, depending on which point is relevant, will receive it. Here is our fifth point. A scientific and practical conference, congress, or symposium online in Ukraine or abroad, except for certain countries. Our country is accredited by the CCME, and our conference is accredited thanks to our partner in the USA. And if this were a Ukrainian conference, it would be 0.5 points per hour, 10 points for a poster presentation, and 15 for an oral presentation. But since we have 0.6, the number of points is doubled. Participation in the event is 1 point per hour. We have 2 days, 8 hours each day, totaling 18 hours. 8 and 8 is 16 hours, so that's 1 point. For a poster presentation, it's 15 points, and for an oral presentation, it's 25 points. What does an oral presentation mean? It means your name, status, and topic are listed in the conference program. So all our speakers today who are included in the program will receive how many points? 25. And a supporting document, a certificate of participation in the conference. Please note, an oral presentation is confirmed by the event program, meaning we will attach the program where your presentation is listed, or by a publication in the event materials. Here we are placing special emphasis on your publications. This is something new. So you participated and published your results because it is necessary. You need to start learning how to write abstracts, short articles, and reports. And then you will be able to earn the points you need through various types of events. Well, you can read the rest yourself. It's not very relevant. I focused more on our conference. Next. Simulation trainings. Thematic training. Various types of events. And for all of them, a certificate is issued. That is, here we have a standardization in the supporting documents, a certificate, and so on. Informal education. Now here, if you publish articles, you confirm it with a copy of the publication. Reviews in scientific journals also require copies. Clinical cases, all of this is your informal scientific activity, confirmed by publications. Moving on. At this point, I will allow myself to stop. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat so we don't disrupt the flow of the conference. Thank you for your attention. All the best. Take care of yourselves.